This is Aunt Shazy. Have you ever spent any time in Pueblo, Colorado? I sure have, and it's filled with fun places to go and tons of cool history. We recently spent a day there, and I'd like to share a couple of places to hit up. First, let's talk about my favorite kind of adventure, the free kind. Did you know Pueblo became one of Colorado's most important railroad hubs, and most people drive past its history without ever stopping? The Pueblo Railway Museum is free to visit and sits along the tracks that once powered southern Colorado's growth. You can stop by any time during daylight hours and do a self-guided tour. If you didn't know, in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Pueblo was a critical junction for freight, steel, coal, and passenger travel. Railroads didn't just pass through here, they built the city. One thing to note is that this isn't a traditional museum, but an area of collected trains that once connected mines to mills, towns to markets, and families to opportunity. One of the highlights is a Santa Fe number 2912 steam locomotive. It's a massive 484 Northern type from 1944. Let me tell you a little bit about this cool train that I've been able to research, but I'm not an expert, so please let me know in the comments if you disagree. In January 1944, as World War II raged across the globe, Santa Fe number 2912 rolled out of the Baldwin Locomotive Works. It was built for a single purpose, power, and it wasn't designed for elegance or comfort. It was built to move enormous amounts of freight and troops quickly and reliably across vast distances, playing a critical role in keeping the nation's wartime logistics moving. Fully loaded, it weighed close to 1 million pounds and stretched over 120 feet long. Fueled by oil rather than coal, it could run longer distances with fewer stops, exactly what was needed during a time when efficiency could make a real difference. It powered through long routes, pulling heavy loads day after day, racking up more than 900,000 miles over the course of its career. By the mid-1950s, however, the age of steam was coming to an end. Diesel locomotives were taking over, offering greater efficiency and lower maintenance. On August 5, 1954, 2912 was retired from regular service, though it lingered for just a few more years as a backup before officially being retired in 1959. Like so many steam engines of the era, it could have easily been scrapped and forgotten, but 2912 got a second chance. That same year, it was donated to the city of Pueblo, where it stood on display near City Hall for decades. Then, in 1994, it was moved to its current home at the Pueblo Railway Museum, where it could be preserved more properly and appreciated up close. Years later, between 2013 and 2019, the locomotive underwent a full cosmetic restoration, bringing it back to a condition that closely resembles how it would have looked in its working days. Standing next to 2912 now, it's hard not to be struck by its sheer size and presence. The towering boiler, the massive driving wheels, and the long, heavy tender all tell the story of a time when steam ruled the rails. It represents the peak of steam locomotive engineering, built at a moment when power, durability, and scale mattered more than anything else. And while it no longer moves under its own power, its story is far from over. It's run by volunteers through the Pueblo Railway Foundation, focused on preserving and operating historic rail equipment. If you're planning a trip, check out their website. I'll put it in the video description. Keep an eye out for special events, and maybe you will get to ride on one of the trains. Unfortunately, the day we were there was an event going on. In fact, we were the only people there for almost all of our time checking out these trains. While you are there, don't forget to check out the Pueblo Union Depot that was built between 1889 and 1890. It is one of the most important surviving railroad landmarks in southern Colorado and is a centerpiece of Pueblo's historic Union Avenue district. Before Union Depot existed, each railroad operated its own separate station, which made travel confusing and inefficient. The new depot consolidated service for 5 major railroads, including the Denver and Rio Grande, Atchison, Topeka, and Santa Fe, Missouri Pacific, Chicago, Rock Island and Pacific, and Colorado and Southern Railway. By 1892, it handled more than 18,000 passengers annually and saw roughly 51 trains a day. The depot became much more than a train station. It evolved into a social center for the city, especially after a restaurant and gathering spaces were added in the early 1900s. One of the depot's most recognizable features is its large clock tower. Originally, the tower stood about 150 feet tall and was designed so it could be seen from nearly anywhere in Pueblo. Each side of the tower had a 7-foot wide clock face. Unfortunately, the devastating Pueblo flood of 1921 caused major damage to the structure. After the flood, the tower had to be rebuilt at a lower height due to structural concerns. One clock face was removed, and the replacement clock faces were changed to glass designs. As passenger rail travel declined in the mid-20th century because of automobiles and air travel, the depot gradually lost its original purpose. Passenger service eventually disappeared altogether. Like many historic railroad stations in America, the building faced years of uncertainty. In 1975, the station was added to the National Register of Historic Places, helping to preserve the landmark. In the 1990s, local investors purchased and restored the property, helping spark the revitalization of Pueblo's Union Avenue Historic District. Today, the building serves primarily as an event venue with banquet halls, offices, retail spaces, and loft apartments. Another free idea, check out the Riverwalk. Unfortunately, we didn't realize that for 2 weeks every winter they drain and clean it, and wouldn't you know, that was during our last trip. We'll try to go back soon and get some footage worth showing. And the final stop on our day was the El Pueblo History Museum. This is a paid museum, and I really like to be positive and highlight the best that all museums have to offer. But if I'm being honest, this is definitely one to visit once. Let me take you on a tour, and you can decide for yourself if you'd like to go. Some highlights include that parking is free, and there's plenty of it. You won't need to spend too long there, so if you're pressed for time, this one might be one worth checking out. And the price tag is pretty low. We paid $10 each when we went, and kids do get to get in for free. By far, my favorite part was the reconstructed outdoor trading post section. Make sure this area is open before you visit because it isn't always open. Anyway, the El Pueblo Trading Post was the first permanent settlement in what is now Pueblo. It was constructed in 1842 and operated until 1854. On Christmas Day, 1854, a coalition of over 100 Native Americans, led by Chief Tierra Blanco, attacked the post, killing approximately 15 to 19 people, mostly Mexican settlers, capturing 3 others, a woman who later died, and 2 boys who either escaped or were returned to their people. It's believed this was in retaliation for the deaths of their people via smallpox-tainted blankets. The post was abandoned afterwards. This museum has been open since 1959, and while there isn't a lot to see in the way of artifacts, it does have a ton of information on the many cultural and ethnic groups that have lived in the area, the steel boom, and pivotal moments in the city's history. This includes union strikes, personal accounts from local area residents, and the Chicano movement. Have you been to any of these 3 Pueblo locations? If so, leave me a comment about why people should visit or not visit. Personally, I'm excited to visit the new Leonardo da Vinci Museum and highly recommend the Weisbrod Aircraft Museum. I've done a video on that museum if you'd like to go check it out. As always, thanks for watching. Now hit that like button for me and go watch another one of my Colorado videos.